Yes, Mr. Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And we're looking at a bunch of things. We're looking at the Caleb plant, the Canelo cancellation situation. And on top of that, we're looking at the Dillian Whyte situation. The Dillian Whyte and the WBC. Can I get this damn thing out of there? Okay, that's good. Okay. And as well as that, we're looking at Anthony Joshua's interview with Gary Neville, ex-Manchester United football player. And of course, we're looking at the Conor Ben fight, which, as most of you will now know, is off. Okay, so there's a bunch of things. There's a bunch of things for us to get through. Yeah, that came through this morning. Most unfortunate. Let me take a sip of my water. Okay, nice and cold. Okay, so what are we doing? What's the first thing we're doing? Okay, first thing we're doing is we're welcoming you to the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio and the boxing talk with Raphie. But first things first, let me do my sound check. Hold on, let's drop the music first and then do the sound check. Let's have a listen. But first things first, let me do my sound check. Hold on, let's drop the music first. Yep, that is good. Okay, bring it back in. Okay, that's nice. What's going on here? Philip Carl Roberts up in the building. I enjoyed that Joshua Neville interview. Yo, hey, that was really refreshing. It was thoroughly refreshing. Normally you got an industry guy asking industry questions, but Gary Neville just came at it from the point of view of just a fan. Came at it from the point of view as just a fan. Very, very refreshing. Very, very refreshing. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Some people think there's just a little. Let's get that out of there. Some people think there's just a little 6-minute interview, but no, it was a bigger thing. It was there's two interviews. Well, there's one interview. The 6-minute interview was just an excerpt from the bigger thing, the 43-minute interview. So if anybody made a mistake thinking it was just a 6-minute interview, no, you were mistaken. What am I trying to do here? Okay. And while we're here, let's just get the scroller up so you can see what's on the agenda. What else? Is that it? I think it is. I think it may be. Where are we? Boom. Let's get that up there. Oh, okay. And we are officially live. We're officially live now. Okay, we got the scroller. What's it saying? Okay, Canelo, Plant, Whyte, Joshua, boxing talk with Raphie, 292. Okay. Yeah, it was nice and refreshing. The Joshua Neville interview came at it. Neville came at it from a nice, fresh perspective. Thoroughly enjoyable. Okay, so where are we going to start today? Where are we going to start today? Okay, I guess it would be rude not to look at the Canelo Alvarez versus the Caleb Plant fight breakdown. As in, ain't no fight no more. There ain't fighting no more. Let's have a look. You'd have expected Carragher to do the interview really because he used to box. Getting Neville to do it brought out better questions and intrigue. Definitely. Well, I prefer Neville's approach anyway. It's kind of impish, floating around the questions. No ego. Very, very down to earth. So I did prefer the fact that Neville got the interview. Okay, but I didn't know he was interviewing people. I thought he was just a pundit. Don't really watch, what channel was that? I don't know. I don't know if, was it on a terrestrial TV channel or I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, so I think we're going to get into the first thing. I think the first thing is going to be, what is it here? Let me share this. Boom, boom, boom. Canelo Alvarez. Everybody's talking about it, so I guess we gotta drop our 2 little penneth worth into this situation. But first things first, let me share. Let me not be rude. Let me share this in another place. Let me share this in another place before we get into it. It would be rude of me not to. Okay, so where is it? Boom. Let's have a look. Boom. Get that out of there. Boom. And there is. Boom. We are live now. Boxing Talk with Raphie. Live now. Boxing Talk with Raphie. I like about this boxing talk. Yeah, I like the predictive text. We live now. I should say we live now. We live now. Boxing Talk with Raphie. Let me do a little champagne bottle pop. There we go. So with some flowers. Okay. That's good. That's good, yeah. Okay. So, where we at? We got the T Whyte in the building. We got the Cal L in the building. Of course, the Philip Carl Roberts. He's not a PBC fight. The Fight Doctor. Wasn't it you the other day saying that Canelo was a PBC fighter? OMG. Wipe that egg. Kindly wipe the egg off your face. Wipe the egg off your face. Canelo is, of course, not a PBC fighter, and that has been highlighted. What a beautiful segue over the last day or so, over the last 24 hours. Has it been more than 24? May have been more than 24. It might be 36. It might be 36 hours. What is that thing? Let me pin that. There we go. So that's pinned. So, yeah, he most certainly is not. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, hit all of the good buttons. What's this here? Looking forward to the fight. Oh dear. I guess then he's not at the. Oh dear, Mr. T Whyte. Kindly take your kerchief and mop the egg off your face, sir. That would be much appreciated. Mop the egg off your face. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. We have to like to keep things gentlemanly around here. Can't have you walking around with egg dripping off your face. Okay. So we all know the sketch. We've seen it everywhere. We've heard the news. Canelo versus Plant fight is off. But I don't know, if you listen very carefully, if you look very keenly, you'll see that I never really troubled this story because I didn't believe it would go forward anyway. I didn't believe it'd take place. I didn't believe in Canelo versus Plant. For whatever reason, never saw it coming off. Canelo had to go over there to Fox. I just couldn't see. I couldn't see Canelo going over. The egg has all been wiped off. Very, very good. But just check the mirror. Check the mirror, because you might have just moved it around. It might not be off. Check the mirror. It might have just moved it around. You gotta be very careful with the egg white. Could dye your beard grey. Okay. So, yeah, never believed in it. Never believed in it. Never thought it would be happening. Canelo going over there, and as it happens, Canelo's gone over there with a bag of requests, stipulations, rules, requirements, extreme, large amount, to the point where it looks like, well, we know that they have come to an impasse, and he's made one request too many. What was the specific request that was one too many? What broke the straw? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? That's the question. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? Let's have a look. T. Whyte, no date, no venue equals no fight set. You should have remembered those words of yours. Oh dear. I hope Dillian bankrupts the kings of corruptions, i.e. the WBC, Mr. Mauricio Suleiman. Of course, Dillian Whyte is in ongoing legal. How do they word it? In an ongoing legal battle for WBC heavyweight mandatory shot at Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder winner. Okay, so that's the situation over there. That's another situation that we're looking at. There's a lot of situations. T. Whyte, you got egg on the other side of the face now. Wipe that face, wipe that side also. So it's not just one side, it's both sides. Wipe the egg off both sides. That's why I told you to check in the mirror. Where we at? Yeah, so hope he bankrupts, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But for now, let me just deal. Get it from both sides, lad. Both sides. Damn it. So what was the request that broke the camel's back? Because there've been a few of them. What was it? First of all, obviously he's going to get the 40 mil allegedly. Apparently 40 mil up front, and nobody's paying Canelo 40 mil up front. Nobody's giving him that kind of long night. What else is there? So there's a 40 mil up front. Okay, fine, that's not a problem. And then what are the stipulations? Okay, the date, that's not a problem. The rematch normally mandatories. For mandatories, there ain't no rematch, but as you know, in Joshua's case, he always likes that rematch clause in there. Like, stick it in there. You're getting some long money. You're getting bigger money than you ordinarily get. The biggest money you may get in your career. So yeah, I want a rematch clause in there. Not for you, not for you, but for me. Yeah, rematch clause for me, not you. You don't get one, but I do. Why? Well, because I'm bringing the long money. You don't get paid this type of money fighting anybody else. Yeah, you don't get that kind of money fighting anybody else. Wizard Sleeves up in the building. Aaron Daly up in the building. Salute to Raphie and chat. Yes. Iron Kong up in the building. Good Lord. Stranger. John Daly the Stranger up in the building. How you doing, John? How you doing, Kong? Aaron, Wizards, Cal, Philip, T. Whyte. Also, I missed anybody? Malcolm, Marcel. I think I've got Kalel. I think I've got everybody. I think so. Okay. So yeah. You don't get that money anywhere else. And with that money that I bring to you, this is Canelo now. Yeah, man, I want some privileges. Yeah, I want the rematch clause in there. I want some back end. I want some back end, top end, side end, back end money. And I think it started to get sticky when he said, hold on, if I have to drop out for any reason, you can't fight anybody else. You got to wait for me. You got to wait for me. And that's when I think people threw their hats up in the air. Damn, Don ZB. I ain't seen Don ZB in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks. Good to see you, Don ZB. What else is there? What else is there? Okay. It's been difficult to follow the new schedule. Yeah, it's difficult for me as well, my friend. Difficult for me as well. It's like I'm trying to get some daytime late lunch ones in. About 2 p.m. UK time, late lunch. But even that's tricky because this is like the end of the day. This is when Raphie's unwinding. This is when Raphie likes to have the red wine and cigar, you know. But I never inhale. But so I'm kind of scared to put a number of time up in there in case the Raphie is fast asleep, recovering from the vigors of the day. But hey, try to make it work. Okay. All right. So when it got real sticky was when Canelo said, listen, if I drop out through injury, the fight goes on without you. But if I drop out through injury, then the fight's off. You wait for me. And I think it was at that point that maybe the A side privileges perhaps got a little bit too much for Fox. I guess they would have been making the final decision, and I think they said no. No, we're paying you through the nose. Nobody's paying you like we're gonna pay you. And we expect some, we expect some humility. But you're laying down too many laws, too many regulations, and we can't go with the last one. If you drop out, what do you mean the fight can't go on? Well, if you drop out the fight, if he drops out, if Plant drops out, the fight goes on. But if you drop out, the fight can't go on. What's that? What's all that? What is all that all about? Come on now. That's quite outrageous. I guess that's what they're trying to say. It's quite outrageous. And I suspect that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And so now the fight's off. Eddie Hearn saying that maybe they can rejig something for later on in the year, one of the Mexican holidays. But the way it's looking, it ain't looking good. Who's this? Good evening. Yo, Raph, you're funny. Yeah, well, hey, the link is in the chat. If you disagree with anything, Richard Williams, I think I've seen you before disagreeing. If you disagree with anything, then the link is in the chat. You're perfectly welcome, Richard, to come on in and have your say. We have your fellow American Tanaris Robinson. He comes in whenever he's ready. And we oftentimes disagree, but we still have some dialogue. So don't be shy, Richard. Don't be shy. Let me drop the link in the chat for you again. Don't be shy. I know you're an American cat. And I know you're probably a bomb squad cat. And if you want to come and represent for your nation, represent for your people. If you want to celebrate Juneteenth, come on in, brother. Come on in. But in the meantime, boom, boom, boom. It is none other than the Iron Kong. It's all hell and mayhem going on the last 3 days. People dropping in, people dropping out, people chopping out. What the hell is going on with Canelo and Plant? What is your observation?
My observation is just typical boxing nonsense. That's all it is. Boxing, I keep saying boxing is a snake eating its own tail. It's just, I don't see these issues in no other combat sport. Not in kickboxing, not in MMA, none of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But in boxing, for some reason, boxing always. I think boxing has let me down more in my lifetime.
Yeah.
It has actually really fulfilled. I mean, I mean, I didn't get to see some of the fights I wanted to see when I was younger. And boxing has the same issues now. And just for everybody to know, my age is 40 years old. I'm not 70. I was born in 1980.
Okay.
But I mean, boxing just finds a way to let me down at all times. It's crazy. You know, this whole Canelo situation about who didn't get what and all this is that, man. Just give me a break, man.
And in comes the man like AJbxng live.
Yes, Raphie. What's going on, Raphie, boy? Hey, part 2 from the WhatsApp group, innit? Yo, hey, listen, no, let's get into this Canelo thing. Hey, listen, I didn't realize, this has turned into a big racial thing, you know.
What's turned racial?
This Canelo thing with Caleb Plant, bro. The Mexican fans, the Mexican fans feel like there's racial bias. It's the first time I've ever heard it. They feel like they're racial bias. That Caleb Plant is the only reason he's getting certain things is because he's white. I was like, what? I've never. And it goes, how is it that he's making Canelo, who's the number one, who's the head honcho, the numero uno in the sport, making him look bad when he's offering the money? And then it goes back to the same situation with the Wilder and the AJ thing, when Wilder offered him 50 mil and they're offering him money and they're saying, why Anthony Joshua take the money from Wilder? Now they're saying Caleb Plant's offering him 40 mil. Canelo should take the fight, and Canelo's like, and we haven't heard nothing from Canelo, by the way, but everyone's like, he should just take the fight. I mean, bro, but the scenarios from it, I was like, people are really getting upset, saying that, because he's white, he's allowed to get away with certain things. And I was like, but what's your take on that thing? That's the racial aspect of it, and it's getting really heated. I mean, in a way, it's going to build the fight really good, actually. But I can't see it happening because I think he's got a fight-by-fight deal with the zone, so he can go over there. But really and truly, I don't think he will. But if you want undisputed, there's your ticket. You know what I mean? But what it is that he's giving up his A side. It's like your Caleb Plant is paying for you, because this is what Nez said. He's basically sorted out with Fox money for himself, and he's got money to give Canelo 40 mil. So he's paying Canelo to fight him. That's what people do in the professional game. That's what people don't understand. Like, when you're the A side, you actually pay for your opponent to come in, but you control everything.
Who's the A side
in this fight? It would be Caleb Plant, because he's paying for Canelo to fight him.
He's paying.
Yeah, because he's already sorted out how much he's gonna get, and he's offering Canelo 40 mil. So he's already sorted, negotiated. So all Canelo has to do is accept it. And they're saying, why is he not accepted it? Why is he not accepting it? He's asking because he's asking for a guarantee. If Caleb Plant pulls out the fight, he wants a certain amount of money if he pulls out the fight. So, and that's why the fight's not going in, because they're not going to guarantee. I don't know why he thinks Caleb Plant is going to pull out the fight though. But that's the problem.
But I mean, my position is Caleb Plant ain't paying a damn penny. He ain't paying a damn penny. Fox are the ones who are paying. Fox are paying Canelo, and Fox are paying Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant ain't paying nobody a penny. Might pay his missus a 20 quid to get some vegetables, get some plant-based foods from whole stores. But that's about it. Caleb Plant ain't paying nobody no thing.
All right. In any case, should he take the fight? Yes or no? If that's what you think, I'm not going to get into that. get into that. That's what's been put out. Nez will break it down better than I do to make you understand.
Nez the Fibs. Are you talking about Nez the Fibs?
You know what you call him? Is that listen? It's not really. Hey, listen. You know when it comes down to these details, yeah. When it comes down to the money, unless you know the ins and out, you can't really call someone a Fibs, yeah. Unless you know. Do you know the ins and out of how a fight's made?
My brother. The payers, the money men, that's going to be Fox Fox are the ones who are divvying it out. Fox are the ones who all Caleb Plant has done, in my humble estimation. All Caleb Plant has done is he's negotiated a little bit more for himself than he might ordinarily get. Well,
listen.
Hold on a second. If you remember from the start, Caleb Plant was saying, yo, I don't even know how he talks. Have I even heard him talk? Hey, man, I want 10 million for this man. I want 10 million for this man. Is that how he talks? I want 10 million. You know, I don't want to be shortchanged. I've seen some people go in there for 5 million, 6 million, 7 million. I thought my initial thought was he was trying to price himself out by saying 10 million. I thought he was trying to price himself out. Who's just come in? The fight doctor. What say you? Where's the money? Hold on, EJ. Was there a particular point that you wanted to tie up?
I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to say, like, this thing is getting to the point where I didn't think it was even a thing, but because the man's put the money into the fray, people were really getting upset. They're like, yo, they're actually offended that he's actually giving Canelo money to fight him. And when the Canelo fans are used to Canelo, you know, he's the head show, and now Caleb Plant is offering Canelo his biggest payday. Canelo has never made 40 mil in one fight. Never in 4 months. And if anything, Caleb Plant's taking a pay cut, taking less. He's taking less in this fight. So he's actually giving Canelo more, but Canelo's asking a guarantee to make sure he gets the money.
Taking a pay cut?
Yeah, of course, because Canelo, of course he is. He's going to have to pay less, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. That's why they're wondering why he's actually paying less. He's making sure Canelo can have enough for him to come over, and Canelo still says no. So how can that be? Like, the man's taking less.
Well, Canelo's saying yes, isn't he? Canelo's saying yes. It's them who are saying no. Canelo, they've balked at one of Canelo's requests, and I think the request that they balked at, and it's like, well, this is where I'm feeling my feeling. Is that
feeling? Okay, all right. Yeah, because I've got, I know what he's balked. He's balked that as the guarantee. That's what we're talking about.
No, he ain't balked to the guarantee. They haven't balked to the guarantee. They're balked. In my feeling is they're balked at the fact that Canelo has allegedly said, listen, if Caleb Plant drop out, no problem. The fight goes on. You just slip somebody else in. If I drop out through illness, injury, whatever, the fight is off. No fighting. You don't fight. You wait for me. To me, that seems as if it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And the camel is not Caleb. The camel is not Caleb. The camel is not Caleb Plant. The camel is Fox.
No. It's just the guarantee. The sticking point is the guarantee. That's where. That's why the Canelo's asking more.
Talk to me about the guarantee.
Yeah, he's asking for too much. He's asking for too much. He's asking for too much for the.
They agreed that, didn't they?
No. He's asking. No, this is where they're stuck at. He's asking for too much money for the guarantee. So just in case he pulls out, he wants basically more than half of the money. So if it's 40 mil, he wants, like, I think it was 25 to 30. If Caleb Plant doesn't turn up, he wants money. And the reason why he done that is because of what happened with Billy Joe Saunders, where Billy Joe Saunders was playing all these games. So he's like, he wants that in the contract, that if you try and pull out, I'm going to get more than half the money. And that's where they're saying no. That's where they're at the minute. That's why negotiations broke down. So go ahead. I'll let someone else talk. Go ahead.
So negotiations are broke down over the guarantee. They're saying no to 40 mil. They're saying no to 40 mil. That's your.
No, they say no. They say no to the guarantee of 25 to 30 mil in case Canelo Plant pulls out. That's what they're saying no to.
So we're talking about different things. I'm talking about the upfront money. You're talking about the guarantee.
No, they accepted that. The reason why negotiations stop is the guarantee. Canelo wants the guarantee, and Caleb Plant doesn't want to give him the guarantee. That's where they are at the minute.
Okay, excuse my ignorance. Specifically, what is the guarantee?
He wants the 30 mil in case Caleb Plant doesn't turn up. That's what he's saying. In case he pulls out or tries to pull something like Billy Joe Saunders, he's learned from.
That's on top of the 40 mil.
Yes. Yeah. No. He's gonna get the 40 mil if the fight happens. Right. But if he doesn't turn up, he wants 30 mil. That's what he's saying.
Canelo wants 30 mil in case Caleb Plant doesn't turn up.
Yeah, because Caleb Plant is always injured and stuff like that, and he doesn't want to go for it. You see what I'm saying? He don't trust him. So he's making sure on his end that if you know, when we sign this, I'm making sure guarantee. So in my opinion, they should just give it. But Caleb Plant doesn't want to do that. He don't want to do that. So that's where they're stuck in that. And they're saying Canelo shouldn't opt for so much for the guarantee.
Where the hell is the guarantee going to come from?
The guarantee, that's where they're stuck at, the guarantee. The man, they got money for the guarantee. Doesn't want to pay it though. They don't want to do that.
Got 40 mil, so 40 mil plus what the hell? That's 4 or 5.
No. Listen. No, listen. Let me break it down to you, Raphie, so you understand. 40 mil, they're offering for the fight, right? So the fight goes ahead, the 40 mil he gets, yeah? If the man doesn't turn up, out of that 40 mil, he wants 30 mil. If he doesn't turn up, right? Let's say the guy postpones it and he doesn't want to fight or forever date re thing. He wants 30 mil. He wants 30 mil. So he's still getting his 40, but he wants 30 mil. So he'll get 30 mil if the guy don't turn up, and then he can decide if Canelo can decide whether he wants to continue that or not. You see what I'm saying? Right. So either way, that's what he's asking for. That's where, you know, and they're saying he's asking for too much for the guarantee. It's too much. You know what I mean? But that's where they're stuck. That's why they're stuck at. Now the thing is, they're saying, how can this white guy dictate thing to Canelo? That's where I'm like, whoa, when did it become racial? It was like, all of a sudden it just went like it went south real quick. Was it west or south or east? Which out? But
Caleb Plant said the money was agreed though, so I don't see how that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know.
Because he's unreliable though, because he's always injured. You see, see Canelo like Billy Joe Saunders, right? These guys, Canelo's like, I'm gonna turn up, but I want a guarantee. This is where these guys hold claws over these guys. You know what I mean? A guarantee. It's almost like saying, you need to come in at a certain weight. You know, when you saw at Manny Pacquiao, his stipulation was, right, it wasn't guarantees. It was making sure that you come in at a certain weight and you don't go over the weight. If you go over that weight, then you have to pay me extra. That's where Manny Pacquiao is. So with Canelo, he's not worried about the weight. You don't have to worry about the weight. He just wants his money. He wants his money in case you try to do any bullshit. I want my money in my account, and I think that's very smart because that's you know, just says to you. And Canelo is like, what? It's like, bro, I'm giving you 40 mil. Goes, yeah, but I don't know you might pull some bullshit. I want my money up front. You know, it's almost like saying I want all my money before the fight starts, just in case you pull your thing in escrow. Yeah, that's where they're at. That's where they're at. I mean, that's when this negotiation. But you know, I've had enough time.
Okay, so that's your position. That's your position. In my position is a bit different. I think it's about what? It's about Caleb not fighting if Canelo gets injured. That's my understanding. Everybody's got a different understanding. Let's go over to the fight doctor to find out what his understanding is. The fight doctor, hello. You washing your mushrooms?
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you washing your mushrooms?
They are all clean.
Oh, good man.
Fight doctor is in the house on reclaim status as always. Good evening, afternoon, gentlemen.
Good evening to you, the fight doctor. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's have your perspective on this shiznix.
Well, I think interjecting race into this conversation is wrong. I don't see how this is racial at all. So anyone who has made this a racial issue is, is way off. Having said that, I think that Alvarez is in the process of cutting off his nose to spite his face.
Uh-oh.
I mean, so you want X amount of dollars guaranteed for no fight. If Caleb Plant doesn't show up for whatever reason, you want to make sure that you get paid a certain amount of money to fight who knows who.
Yeah.
I mean, typically what happens if a fight is canceled for whatever reason, either a replacement is found and some type of new contract is negotiated. And I guess Alvarez wants to just circumvent that process and say, well, if this guy doesn't show up, we're going to negotiate the replacement fight on the front end.
Yeah.
And, I'm not sure that that's smart because from the broadcaster's point of view, because, one, Alvarez has been cherry picking as of late. And two, there's no telling who he would agree in the event that who he would agree to fight in the event that Caleb Plant would get injured. Now, what I suspect is this: that he couldn't pull this with DAZN. I think DAZN has probably had enough. They're like, look, you can fight. Like, here are a list of tomato cans you can fight for whatever your guarantee is, and you can pick from this list, and you get your money, and that's that. And if one of these tomato cans pulls out, well, here are the alternate tomato cans you can fight. And I guess maybe perhaps he wants to kind of sort of have that same deal in place with Fox, and Fox is like, no, that's not how we do business over here. So I guess now what I'm hearing is Team Alvarez is looking to go up to light heavyweight to fight Dimitri Bivol. So in my view, that's a harder fight for lesser money. Now, it might be easier to make that fight politically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe perhaps there's some insurance in the event that Bivol would pull out. You can still make the date with some other DAZN tomato can and still get your money. But, if Bivol actually shows up, you're now taking a higher risk fight for less money. And Bivol has a style that isn't exactly agreeable with Canelo Alvarez and, his typical opponent that he looks good against.
Yeah.
So, I'm questioning the strategy here. Look, I can understand Alvarez wanting to squeeze Fox for every little penny. The goal of rich people is to get even richer. And rich people, their greed seems to know no bounds. So I get that, right? Not that I'm rich, because I'm far from, but I understand how they think. They have to get every little single red penny.
Yeah.
But in this case, I'm looking at this situation, thinking to myself, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because, one, what's the likelihood that Caleb Plant would pull out of the biggest fight of his career? The biggest payday of his career.
Yeah. That's just right. He don't want the fight. That's where people are at. They're calling. That's why people are saying he don't want the fight. And they're making excuses for Canelo. That's where we're at the minute.
Who don't want the fight?
Canelo. Why? Because he's asking for too much money in the guarantee.
Canelo don't want to fight Plant.
No, he doesn't. No,
Why?
He doesn't. That's why he's made the negotiations harder. That's what I'm saying. It's like, why doesn't he want to fight him?
Yeah.
Because he made me feel like Caleb Plant's gonna beat him. You're laughing, but at the minute, Caleb. This is the thing, right? When it comes to Canelo Alvarez, he picked Eddie Reynoso and him. They pick the opponents. Caleb Plant is picking him in his career. That's never happened apart from Mayweather. Mayweather picked him, and you see how that went. So now you've got a guy who's picking you to fight him, and now they're looking at this like, well, boy, we've got a lot. We can fight all these bums, and look at the bums. Rocky Fielding beat up the Smith brothers, and Eddie Hearn's got a whole heap of bums ready for me. Yeah, so it's like this guy.
But it was Canelo. It was Canelo who sought out Caleb Plant, though.
Nah, he mentioned his name, and Caleb Plant came knocking. But Raphie, you have to understand, in that negotiations, Caleb Plant would have won over him, innit? If he sorted out the money for him to get paid, he'd have control. That's what he doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to give up to control. That's what I'm saying to you, bro. If someone's paying you, right, that much money, you're more or less under their thing. That's what happens. Canelo, when Canelo was paying Billy Joe Saunders. This is how it works. This is how the professional game works, bro.
All right. Okay. We're getting lots of different opinions here, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm Kong. What you feeling? How you feeling? What you feeling?
I think the idea that Caleb Plant is A-side to Canelo is absolutely ludicrous.
Okay.
The whole idea that there's even 40 million in the discussion is because of Canelo Alvarez. Caleb Plant has not made $1 million yet. His main claim to fame is that he did high numbers on a free to air boxing match on Fox. The idea that Canelo is fighting bums at 168. Well, if Canelo is fighting bums, What has Caleb Plant been fighting? What has all these other guys at 168 been fighting? Because he's the only one who's unified the division. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm not even this huge Canelo fan, but I think when people start talking about Canelo and how he's cherry picking and all that, we haven't seen PBC when they had the 2 belts over there even make a unification. Not one time. The idea that Caleb Plant picked Canelo again. I mean, these are very strange conversations, and I get it because I guess EJ is coming with Nesta Gibbs reasoning.
Nesta Phibbs.
And it just sounds like Nesta Gibbs reasoning to me. That somehow Canelo, Caleb Plant is the A side to Canelo, and he picked Canelo. Nah, man. Listen, Canelo, I don't know the situation. I don't know the ins and outs of the whole thing. Caleb Plant came out early. Of course, Mike Coppinger got Caleb Plant's side early and got a lot of text to put up about Canelo and whatever. I'm still waiting on Mike Coppinger to ask Canelo a question as to what happened.
Okay.
Because Mike Coppinger comes out early to give Caleb Plant's side. And we've seen this before, right? We've seen this when the whole 50 million debacle with Anthony Joshua. And the PBC side, Shelley Finkelman, came out early o'clock. Oh, they this, they that, they this, they that. Right? Giving half the story, of course, that they didn't give meetings, they didn't do this, they didn't do none of that. Only to come out and say, oh, well, but by the way, we also turned on $100 million. Right? So, Caleb Plant is going to say what he has to say because they have to save face on something. And when they came out early and they had all this to say about Canelo, I said, you know what, hold on. Let me see what Canelo has. Because I was ready to blaze Canelo. But then I realized, you know what? I've seen this before. I've seen this play before. Right? I said, let me wait until somebody asks Canelo and Eddie Reynoso a question. And I'm going to wait for that. I'm not going to take people like Nesta Gibbs' word for it, who is known to push his agendas. I'm not going to push it. But the idea that Canelo is cherry picking at 168, okay, in my opinion, 160 was the harder division to unify, in my opinion. In my opinion. But if 168 he's cherry picking there, well, I'm wondering what the other 168 guys have been doing with their career since Canelo Alvarez unified the division as soon as he got there. Well, what has these guys been doing? How come Plant and Benavidez didn't unify? Right? So, I mean, if we're going to say Canelo's been cherry picking, then we got to ask what has the other guys been doing? That's just why I've been saying.
Okay, and before I go to John D. Lee, I want to say, just for the record, my position is that Canelo is the A side. The money came from Fox. All Plant did, to my reckoning, that I can fathom, is he got a nice chunk for himself. He insisted he wasn't going to fight unless he got a significant chunk. But Canelo's the A side, in my estimation. But anyway, let's go over to John D. Lee. John D. Lee, how do you do?
Good, thanks, Raph.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Come on through, my friend. Come on through.
Well, I'm just really confused. I'm trying to think of a time when a B-side fighter received a higher purse than the A-side fighter.
Oh.
Seeing as Caleb Plant is the A-side, is he getting, 60 million for this?
No, 10.
So someone needs to make that make sense to me, because that doesn't make any sense at all. I'm absolutely baffled. So I don't understand how that's supposed to be the A side. The next thing I want to know is if Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith are bombs, what's Caleb Truax exactly?
Caleb Truax.
Is he some world-beating, amazing 168-pounder?
No.
That I'm aware of, that I saw Caleb Plant struggle with. What's the biggest name on Caleb Plant's resume?
Is it Caleb Truax?
I don't know what it is. Maybe is Gateki or who is it?
because Truax beat a washed-up James DeGale.
How was he washed up? How was he washed up? He was the champion.
James
How was he
DeGale
washed
at that point was not the same. He was never the same
He,
after that.
hold on. Was he the champion? Yes or no?
So what? You're washed-up champion. What?
So how can you be washed up if you're the champion? If you're the champion, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be a belt.
Okay.
And let's go to Usher. Let's go to Usher Tag. Usher Tag. He beat one of the Jarrell brothers. No. Listen, them guys are bums, man. Them guys are bums. If you wanna call Usher Tag and Caleb Plant bum, Usher Tag and thing bums. That's I don't really care. I wasn't arguing the A side. Yeah? I was arguing. I know I heard you, John. I was arguing that the fans are going in on Canelo because he's asking for too much money in terms of the guarantee. That's where we're at the minute. And I know my man Iron Kong's talking about. If you don't know like exactly what you're talking about, then do your research in it. Like, you know what I mean? I mentioned this because Nessigibbs has done his research. If you ain't done it, but he's done his research though. That's what I'm saying. So if you're just going on, I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about the person. I don't really care about the person. I just care about the information that's being shared. Now, if the information shared is incorrect, then I'm not going to share it. So it's not really like I'm a fan for any of these guys. That's where we at. Go ahead.
It wasn't you that called Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith bums. That was the fight, Doctor.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Ross, who's that?
I just want to know how he thinks that Caleb Truax is so much better than those two guys.
Hold on. Let the fight doctor speak. He's got some intergalactical.
I hear some sort of aliens coming.
I think he comes from Tandy. I think I can hear some aliens.
From Tandy.
The fight doctor sound equipment came from Radio Shack.
Yeah, so these headphones I'm using are a bit suspect, so you must forgive me.
A bit suspect. Them from 1975 Radio Shack. You're talking about a big suspect. I remember that same crackle when my dad bought me some shizzle from Radio Shack back in the day. I know what I'm talking about, bro. But anyway, carry on. Lord have mercy.
So look, at the end of the day, if we look at Alvarez's opponents as of late and their performance in the ring, they've all been suspect. Okay, it's not like he's been meeting a lot of resistance lately. Smith didn't give him any resistance. Yildirim didn't give him any resistance. Who was the guy before Yildirim? It was
you got your orders wrong, so it's Smith, Yildirim, and then Billy Joe Saunders.
Right. So Smith didn't give him any resistance. Yildirim didn't give him any resistance.
Completely. That. My question was actually, is Caleb Truax so much better than Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith? Seeing as they were both undefeated world champions at the time.
So I would counter that question with another question, which is this: what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I mean, right now.
Let me stop you there. Because I got the antidote. You come with that every week. Okay, let me kill that one right now. What has the price of tea in China got to do with this?
Not a damn thing. And Caleb Truax's or Caleb Plant's resume is not consequential to the conversation. Right now, we're talking about Canelo Alvarez and his weak opposition as of late, right? But that's what we're talking about.
It's being presented. It is as if Caleb Plant's been fighting much better opposition. So
I'm not sure who made that argument, but that's not the argument that I'm making.
Okay.
To be clear, Caleb Plant's last fight have been the last one was Caleb Truax. The one before that was Vincent Fingerbutts. The one before that was Mike Lee, and the one before that was Jose Uzcaju. And before that was Rogelio Medina. And before that, I think you get the picture. Andrew, Hernandez, Thomas, Bono, Juan, D'Angel. He ain't been fighting nothing stellar. But what's the point? What's the point here? What's the point? Where are we going with this?
Well, it was actually sort of my turns. These were the main questions because I'm just confused.
Yeah.
How it's being presented as if Caleb Plant is the A side and Canelo is the side. Well, I'm just because I can't think of a single time Floyd didn't get like the biggest share of the purse when he was giving out offers. He was picking people.
Yeah.
The last point I wanted to make is how many offers has Plant turned down from Canelo? Because I believe it's 2.
What's the significance of him turning down 2 offers from Canelo?
Wow.
Well, it's being presented to me that Plant is picking Canelo. Well, if he's already turned down 2 offers, if Plant's already turned down 2 offers, then it's not like they haven't been making offers to him. When Floyd genuinely picked people, that's true. But those people never made any offers to Floyd, did they?
No.
Pacquiao did.
Well, that ended up being a joint promotion, though, didn't it?
But this is the whole point, John. Is about the negotiations.
This is not on the same level as Pacquiao versus Floyd.
I'm not talking about. We're talking about negotiations. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you mentioned. You said he gave offers, and then Canelo counter. That's their counter offer, and the negotiations are broke down. So that's where we're at the minute, isn't it?
That's what I believe, but I don't believe that Plant picked him out of a plethora of fantastic opponents that Plant was going to make lots of money with. You can't be representing this as the same thing as what Floyd would be doing. When Floyd was picking opponents, if you said no, he'd pick someone else and make the same money.
No, but what it is that the networks, See, the thing is, when he was doing that, he was on, I don't know, whatever network he was on, right? But he's with Fox now. And with Fox, they demand better fights. It's like HBO, they demand better fights, better things. So the money, now you're with a top network who has money, they're gonna put money behind you. So where he made offers and now he's come back with his offer. And like you said, like people pointed out, we haven't heard nothing from Canelo's team in regardless. But all we know is this is what we do know is that he's asking for too much money for the thing, innit? What's the thing? Guarantee. That's what it is. That's where the stipulation is stuck. The guarantee is where Canelo's asking for too much money in the guarantee. That's what come up.
Some other stuff.
Go on.
That the PBC were trying to borrow the money to pay Canelo.
Wherever they got it from, wherever they got it from, he turned it down, innit? Yeah,
but we haven't out to the paperwork, have we? So we don't know.
No. But that's what that guy Mike Kopovich has come out and said that the negotiations are broke down, and this is the why it's broke down. So that's where we are. And a lot of people, there's a backlash on that with Canelo, and certain people are saying that it's being racist because the white guys have got this money and giving the money. The Mexican fans, who's this guy to ask for this money? And that's where I was, because I didn't really care about the situation until I was just listening and people were making it into a racial thing. I was like, whoa, where did that come from? You know what I mean? The angle of like a white guy's offering money and he's turned it down, and now everyone's banging on Canelo, and it's only because he's Mexican. I'm like, shit. That's where we are. That's what's going on right now.
Because I don't understand how things work out in America, but in Europe, Spanish people are white, and looking at Canelo, he looks like he's Irish descent, and there are Irish Mexicans.
That's a good way. We're rational about it. But in America, that's what I'm saying. That's where the fans are.
It's an American thing. It's a bit crazy.
Yeah. That's a good way.
You know what, guys? Anyway, Canelo looks English. British Isles to me. Irish, Scottish. Looks like a little Scottish lad to me. But anyway, I'm going to go around the table and let everybody have their final words, starting with the fight doctor. OMG. What the hell? You need to go back to Radio Shack with that shizzle, my friend. You need to head back to Radio Shack. Fight Doctor, are you with us? Fight Doctor, are you with us? Fight Doctor, drop off and come back in, my friend. Drop out and come back in. Drop out and come back in. I'll put the link in the chat again. Because we've got a couple of other things we want to touch on. We want to have a quick look at the Dillian Whyte situation with his, and then of course I want to play you a few sound bites of the Anthony Joshua interview with Gary Neville, and also of course, sorry I didn't respond to you, John. I just seen your message there, the thing with the with Bob Arum. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. John Dealey, if you say what your final words on the Caleb Plant, the Canelo fallout. If you say that, your words, and then I'll go to EJ, and then we move on. Okay, John Dealey.
Well, I genuinely think that he's going to end up fighting Bivol for a lot of money. So, as a boxing fan, potentially there's a better fight on the horizon, because I think there's a greater chance that Bivol wins the fight than Plant, frankly.
Are you AJbxng, your final words on the Canelo Caleb Plant fallout before we move on?
Bro, it's Canelo's world and we're all just living in it, bro. That's how it goes, bro. The man can fight who he wants, man. And that's where they at. You know, Canelo can fight anyone. The Mexican fans, you know, if Canelo was to go and go over to fight Caleb Plant and for undisputed, that's what we was talking about. You know, he wanted undisputed, he wanted to be undisputed at 168. And, you know, in my opinion, put himself in there as the Pathian with the Carl Froches, the Nigel Benns, the Roy Jones Jr.'s, the Joe Calzaghes, the Andre Wards, and the list of great super middleweights of all time. Gerald McLennan, right? Is he for him to get undisputed, you'd put yourself into that list, and you know, us historians, well, I'm not a historian, but you know, boxing nerd, whatever, we'll debate that. But right now, Canelo, like I said, I looked at it like this: Canelo can do what he wants. He doesn't have to take anything he doesn't want to take. Every time he fights, his people turn up and get a lot of money. So I feel right now it's like, well, Canelo can do what he wants, and you know what? His fan base will never come at him. But I think for the rest of the people in boxing, it's very frustrating that we can't cross the line and get this undisputed fight, which really and truly the majority of people would want to see. And Canelo would be the favorite coming in. Let's get it right. You know, is anyone giving Caleb Plant a chance to win? I doubt it, but that's the way you fight the fights to fight. So hopefully, you know, they could sort that out, and it'd be great for boxing. So that's my last word on that.
Yeah, the Fight Doctor. I thought you'd have known by now. It's your turn. It's your turn.
How's my audio?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
All right. Well, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier, which is I think that Alvarez is, I mean, if the reports are true that he's looking to fight Bivol hopefully at light heavyweight, then I think that he's, you know, cutting off his nose to spite his face. I think the Plant fight is an easier fight. It's certainly more money. You know, listen, maybe EJ has a point in that Alvarez isn't comfortable in the fact that he would need to give up a measure of control that perhaps he doesn't have to fighting on DAZN. So maybe, you know, I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me, because the Bivol fight, in my estimation, is a more difficult fight for less money. I'm not understanding why they think that Plant would want to pull out of the biggest fight of his career, the biggest payday of his career. It doesn't make any sense, you know.
Okay.
But at the same time, you know, I maintain that Alvarez is the most protected fighter in the sport, and maybe there's some funny business going on with the Bivol fight, which is the reason why Bivol is even being considered. So let's wait and see.
Okay, that's what I like. A lot of different opinions, a lot of varying opinions. What will I say about this? I think that he's flexing the A side. He's flexing the A side, Canelo Alvarez. But I think there's logic. There's some logic behind it. He wants to keep the dates open. If Plant drops out, he wants to have his options open. Doesn't want to get tied up And I think that's the way it is. I think that's the way I see it. Okay, but we got varying opinions, which is great. Is it going to happen? I really don't know. But for the record, I think that Canelo's the A side. What else? Canelo's the A side. He wants to fight. I don't think Caleb Plant wants it. I think Caleb Plant would rather hold on to his title. I think Caleb Plant's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Caleb Plant could just say, yeah, okay. He couldn't get his 10 mil. But I think he's content taking lesser money and keeping his belt. Because if he fights Canelo Alvarez, I think his belt's gone. Okay, that's my take on it. But we got a couple more things I want to touch on before I finish. We're not going for much longer. But what do I want to say? Okay, so that's wrapped up. Okay, just going to touch it very quickly. Can we even touch it quickly? It's highly unlikely. Well, okay, so let's go. Where are we gonna go? We're gonna go to Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, pursuing legal avenues against the WBC, because Dillian Whyte wants to make sure that he is appointed mandate. He's the WBC interim champion. He's a WBC #1 contender, but he wants it in writing that he is the mandated challenger for the winner of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. So let me go first on this one. Dillian Whyte was the mandated champion until he fought Alexander Povetkin at the beginning of the year. He didn't have to do that. He could have just fought lesser opponent, but he wanted the stiff opponent, stiff competition. Okay, he got knocked out. Rematch Povetkin knocked him out. The WBC said it would be 1 year from the date of the first fight. No, 1 year from the date of the second fight when Dillian won. That when he would be made mandatory. But he was mandatory before. But what the WBC did, they did a slick maneuver, and they anointed that after Dillian Whyte lost, they anointed Tyson Fury as the mandate, and everybody looked around, scratched their head, and said, "Why would they do that? He was going to fight him anyway." Well, it was a very crafty maneuver, and I called it at the time. What that meant was that the WBC in court could turn around and say, "No, Deontay Wilder fought his mandatory in the shape of Tyson Fury." So that's how they screwed up the situation for Dillian Whyte. So legally, I think they got a year. Legally, they got a year from the date of the second Povetkin fight to name a mandatory. And then they can say, well, you know, to be fair, Deontay Wilder just fought his mandatory in the shape of Tyson Fury. So some crafty shiznicks. Told you I was going to be fast. Let's move it along. AJbxng. What's your take on all this crapola?
Dillian can shut up, bro. That's what Dillian can do. I had enough of his bullshit, mate. Listen, I tell you what, yeah. I tell you what, the man could have fought AJ a long time ago. The man can fight for any well bout. That Trevor Fat Bride, he could fight him. He can fight. He can do what he wants. He's just there's enough belly aching. Had enough of the whining. The WBC have been playing these games from my recollection from Josie Alushagun. Josie Alushagun was the contender for WBC for that belt for 3 years. They pushed aside and put Eric Morales in because he was Mexican. Then he lost the belt to Danny Garcia. And then they told him to fight 3 eliminators and I think 2 eliminations. Then they put him in with TSA and he never got his title shot, right? That was WBC. They did it with Tyson Fury in his first attempt. He was on WBC. He was on their ranking for like 2 years. For the longest, and he said, I had enough of them. So he got with Frank Warren. That's why he went with Frank Warren. Because Frank Warren is in league with the WBO, because WBO been with Frank Warren from the days in the 90s, from Nigel Benn and Eubanks and whatever. And then he got his shot against Vladimir, right? Because WBC was messing him around as well, right? And they're still doing it now. So legal litigation with them, you're wasting your time because, you know, how are you going to win that? You basically lost your spot. And it's the first funny thing as well, when you fight for a mandatory or voluntary, right, and you lose, right, and then you obviously you're lucky at a rematch clause in it to get your shot back. The WBC doesn't have to make you #1. You know what I mean? When you that's why some guys they sit on the pinewood and don't fight no one because they're worried about losing. So I don't want to hear Dillian belly aching. I had enough of that, right? He could fight Trevor Bryan, but he still wouldn't be the world champion. He's the WBC. All he done when he beat Vivek, all he wanted is his diamond belt. I just had enough of this whining. Oh, they're not giving me this. They're not giving me that. You don't want to fight AJ. What you want to do, the game plan for Dillian Whyte is very simple. Fight Deontay Wilder or whoever's got the WBC belt. Then unify with AJ and get big money. That's where he's at in a minute. So they're messing up his plans. But see, the thing is, Eddie Hearn, the longer he stays on that route, Dillian Whyte mess with that side, then Eddie Hearn can build the big fight with Josh. All the big paydays are going out the window. All the big paydays are going out the window. If you want the payday to fight thing, you need to get yourself. You should have fought AJ. Just fight AJ in a rematch, and you can still keep you'll lose your WBC ranking, but if you want to get paid, that's what you want. So, like, you got to look at it like this. Do I want to sit around and get old waiting for this belt? Because that's what's going to happen, bro. Yeah. Or do I want to fight for a meaningful fight? Because, look, let's say Usyk pulls out last minute, right? Let's say Usyk pulls out COVID. You know, it's a possibility, right? That's an opportunity in Tottenham Stadium. Dillian Whyte, you want to take it. Now, I'm just saying, if he doesn't take something like that, where it's a big payday, it's a football stadium, then boy, like, what are you in here for? So my whole thing with Dillian, I had enough of the belly aching, bro. If you want to make things happen, just take chances and fight. The WBC is messing you around. It's like a girlfriend. If I'm a girlfriend, and then every time I arrange to meet her, she doesn't turn up. Am I going to continue to keep doing that, or just go and find another girl? So go and find another belt. If anything, the IBF belt, yeah, they're reliable, right? They've been the most reliable. And then, but if you go on that route, that means you're gonna have to fight Anthony Joshua. And it's like, well, get me. But I'm gonna say, well, so what? Like, so what? So my thing is that I had enough of the belly aching. And it's really simple. Just vacate the belt. Go and fight who you want. You still can demand a lot. You still got a pay-per-view. And actually, that's nothing as well. Before I finish, he's messed up now because Eddie Hearn is no longer on Sky with the pay-per-view. So where do you go now? You've got a whole heap of fighters. Now the zone only gives you a set amount of money. You're not getting no extra pay-per-view money. I don't know what other residual money you can get because Eddie Hearn controls it with his Matchroom Media. Eddie Hearn's messed him up in terms of where his money. That's why Dillian Whyte is in a position where I don't even know what I'm doing. Because if I was Dillian Whyte, I'd negotiate my own contract with Sky, renegotiate with them, and put my fighters on Sky and get a contract with Sky. That's what I would do personally. So Dillian Whyte has things to do, but the last thing you want to do is sue the WBC. You don't want to upset them already. They're wasting your time, and I'll be honest with you, they're gonna probably put a final eliminator for him to lose against someone. Because to me, he had many chances to fight. Wilder. He could have fought Brazil. He could have probably beat him. He could have fought Luis Ortiz and these guys here. And to be fair, it would be a great fight. He could have had them come over and beat them, and he possibly could have beat them in great fights. And he could have forced that WBC thing long time ago. But Dillian wants to control the A side. He said, "Well, I don't want to fight. They're asking too much. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that." So now you're in a position. Now you're crying. So I got no sympathy for Dillian, even though I like him and he's an exciting fighter. But bro, time waits for no one. And this is where boxing is. It's the fight game. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. I'm done.
Boom, boom, boom. That was a good one. That was a good assessment. John D. Lee.
I'm kind of in the middle because I agree with a lot of what EJ said. Ultimately, Dillian was offered to fight for 3 belts at Wembley, and he turned it down in 2019. So it's like, how much sympathy should we really have it for him? At the same time, he's been paying sanctioning fees to the WBC for various different titles since he beat Delanius. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
He's given them a lot of money. He did actually offer Ortiz to headline at O2, and Ortiz turned it down to fight on the undercard, I think, of Fury versus Wilder 1. But he was actually offered to headline at the O2 on pay-per-view with Dillian. So that one's not straightforward. The Brazil fight, I think that was supposed to happen between Dillian and Brazil. But then Brazil got offered to step up and fight for the title straight away. So obviously Brazil took that, which you can't argue with. He's fighting for a world title instead of fighting Dillian. So it isn't clear cut. At the same time, the WBC are always allowing champions to not really fulfill their obligations, whether Dillian's a mandatory challenger or not. The amount of times that the mandatories actually properly been defended in the WBC title since Deontay Wilder first held it, I think it's only 2 actual mandatories.
Yeah.
They retrospectively named Fury a mandatory after the fight was already announced. So see how that's actually fulfilling a mandatory duty.
Yeah.
I
don't know if that's legal. I don't know if that's legal. That'd be interesting for Dillian to challenge in the courts.
They made Bermain-Stavern a mandatory. How that happened, I've got no idea.
Madness.
And who's the other actual mandatory? Like the level of mandatory has been horrendous as well. I think, didn't he win it in 2015 as well?
15. His first mandatory was Stavern, I think, wasn't it? His first mandatory that he actually fought was Stavern.
No, because Dillian was Stavern's mandatory when he won the. Deontay was Stavern's mandatory when he won the title, and then between that and Stavern 2, he did fulfill a mandatory, but I can't remember who it was.
Okay, I'll have a look through that.
But I think it's Stavern and Fury. So like since 2015, there's been 3 mandatory defenses of that title. So the WBC are not doing their job properly either. So it's hard to have a huge amount of sympathy for Dillian because he's volunteered himself into this position.
Yeah. And
he's always got the AJ fight. AJ thinks that fight does money, so he'll always fight him. So I've got mixed stance. I want the WBC to be held to account, but I'm kind of with EJ about the belly aching.
So he won it from Bermain-Stavern. He won the championship from Bermain-Stavern. Then he fought Molina.
Yeah. He was actually the mandatory for Stavern because Shelly Finkel basically stopped Vlad from getting the undisputed fight by pushing Wilder's mandatory straight away on Stavern as soon as he won the title. By beating.
But I was trying to find out who was Deontay Wilder's mandatory.
Yeah.
So it was Molina, Duapa. After Stavern, it was Molina, then Duapas, then Arthur Spilka, Chris Arreola. Friggin' hell, what a piss poor collection.
They're all as well. So yeah,
Gerald Washington, Bermain-Stavern 2.
That's mandatory.
That's right. Luis Ortiz 1.
I don't think that was a.
No, I think it was a voluntary. Tyson Fury 1.
That was
Dominique Brazil.
Effectively made.
That was the one. I think it was the second. No, it was the second one. It was Tyson Fury 2. So Dominic Brazil. I think
that's the other mandatory, isn't it? That is the other
mandatory. So his 2 mandatories were Bermain-Stavern and Dominic Brazil. What a piss poor lineup. So what's going on here? Suleiman has done Dillian wrong. Glad he sued. Dillian should go to, says Dr. Wodak. Dillian should go to the US and fight Martin Ortiz Ruiz on the zone. That's AOBZ. Philip Carl Roberts says Whyte fights on a fight-to-fight basis. He can choose any platform, from my understanding. Yeah, they might have tightened it up recently, but that was the situation. I don't get why Whyte didn't take the AJ fight. Money don't seem to be an issue for the WBC fight, but it was to fight AJ. Marion G, respect up in the building. Marion, ain't seen you in a while. Good to have you up in here. Okay. So your final words on that, John Dealey, before I go to the fight doctor?
I think somebody's got to hold the WBC to account, but I don't have a huge amount of sympathy for Dillian because he's put himself in this position.
Yeah, I agree with that. The fight doctor, you want to comment on this?
So I think Dillian Whyte trying to sue the WBC is a huge waste of time and resources. Dillian, you need to go read the WBC's bylaws, right? I've read them, and to me, they read as if they were written by a 5-year-old. They make no sense whatsoever. And even as the #1 contender, it's impossible to force the WBC to make you the mandatory. You can't do it. The only way you're made mandatory, from my reading of their bylaws, the only way you get to be the mandatory in the WBC is if the board of governors or whoever they are, they have to vote and declare you the mandatory. So hypothetically, you could be the #1 contender and they could make someone else the mandatory. And if I'm not mistaken, that's happened while Dillian Whyte has been the #1 contender. So yeah, I would advise, listen, Dillian Whyte needs to just go wherever the money is. If he can get an AJ fight, then go fight AJ. Because it's apparent he's aggravated somebody within the WBC. And look, you did yourself no favors by getting knocked out. Okay? You did yourself no favors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, if he should cancel, cease and desist any legal proceedings against the WBC, because the only thing he will do is essentially cut off his nose to spite his face.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we've got opinions from everybody nice and sweetly. We're racing through onto the last little gem. Keeping it nice and tight, racing through to the last little gem. Okay, so we'll try and be real quick and swift with this one. Let us go. I'm not even going to introduce what the topic is. Let's just listen and you will hear.
When I done my Olympic thing quick and I turned pro, I'm looking at these guys like I want what they've got. And I've fought champion after champion, defended my belt against my mandatory challenges, lost my belt, won it back. And there's a time now where it comes to fighting the guys that people want to see me fight, which is no problem. It's not a problem at all. We do good business with people. And it's just clear to see now with this last situation we face is like the 258 management, Matchroom, done a great job of putting on a potential show that was ready, signed,
sealed, delivered. Ready, signed, sealed, delivered. Joshua's talking about his journey, came into the game well after the other cats, well after Deontay Wilder, well after Tyson Fury. Went to the Olympics real quick, took a loss, lost his title, got it back, and then was ready to unify. Let's listen to what he says.
To go ahead during the pandemic, which was a nice offer, lucrative offer, where X amount of fans would have been able to go, ready to sign, ready to fight, no qualms on my ends, I'm ready. And they bailed out on not only me, but the boxing world. Because this is the first time in 120 years or so that two British fighters would have fought for the undisputed title. It
was already on their end, and Tyson Fury bailed out. Hold on.
Legacy fight. And that's the only reason why it didn't happen, because they either wasn't organized on their side, Fury wasn't ready for the fight, I don't know what it is, but my truth, all I can say is that if you look at the history, the email trails, the conversations, we had the deal in place. We were the ones who found the venue. We were the ones who took the offer to them. And they were the ones who couldn't fulfill their end by just putting a signature on the contract.
So you don't believe in this legal thing that happened in America? You think that's just smoke?
Smooth down a little bit.
But that can't be an excuse as to why.
So you think he should have just ignored that and just gone on and took the fight?
I think he should have made it clear from the get-go. That.
So you don't think he basically was transparent at the beginning about what was happening?
Yeah, it's not a problem. If I'm not ready to fight, I say, look, guys, I'm going to be real. But let me get past my mandatory challenger. Let me get past my rematch clause, and then I'm going to win. I'm going to do this for us, and I'm going to fight this undisputed fight. That's just honest. Rather than saying, I want the undisputed. He's dodging me. He's doing this. They don't want it. I'm giving them a deadline before they make this contract viable. If they don't get it to me in 24 hours, I'm not signing it. We get a contract in 23 hours. Well, we want this and that. We make sure we keep on plugging away, making sure that the deal is.
Why would they do that if they knew they couldn't take it? Why would they?
Good question. Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
So this is where I can't understand, because we got it to the line where we just need to step over.
Yeah.
Which is the signing of the contract, signing of the agreement.
Do you not think he wants it? You think he doesn't want this fight now?
I'm sure he's a fighter, isn't he? Yeah. He's not gonna. What's the worst that can happen? You get hit. Yeah. You know, he's been doing it for years. However, I just know on my end, and my management team and my promoters, we've done everything we can to make this happen. I'll compete with anyone.
Will it happen in the future? Can this contract not be signed now that you've got?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Before I go to people, let me just have a little look in the chat. Let's have a look in the chat. Okay, everything relates to Whyte. Okay, that's cool in the gang. Okay, where are we gonna start? The fight, doctor. Is that a final thing? Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay. Is catch you the next one. Fight doctor is out. Okay. Okay, cool in the gang. Catch you the next time. Yes, cool. And the gang, the fight doctor. Who we got left? AJbxng. Your take on what you have just heard.
Yeah, he's full of it. He's full of it, man. He's full of it. Listen, let me tell you something, yeah? See this boxing thing, yeah? Right? Right? You see, when you got things in front of you, the best bet is to take it, right? Right? He beats Vladimir Klitschko in one of the greatest fights in British boxing history that we've ever seen, yeah? He looks over Wilder and calls out a man who's not even active, yeah? And then and that's what he wanted. He wanted Fury. You got it? You wanted it. But this is the man you're trying to fight. This guy is a shyster, man. This guy's a chancer. He's a very dodgy guy. Now, listen, let me show you signs, yeah? When Fury beat Derek Chisora the first time, no, I believe the second, I think he beat him the first time. The first thing he did, yeah, right? He was supposed to fight David Price, who beat him in the amateurs. You know what he said? He vacated the British and Commonwealth belt and said, I want the Irish belt. I don't want the British belt. Nah, I want it because I'm Irish. And he vacated that belt. Another situation with Ustinov, right? I think opponent pulled out. Ustinov, he didn't want to fight because his uncle died. All right, most people understand that, but fighters, they fight through that. What's his name again? Buster Douglas' mum died, yeah, going into the fight with Tyson. I mean, isn't that a reason to pull out of a fight against the most ferocious guy? He took the fight and beat Mike Tyson, one of the biggest upsets in boxing. The Vladimir situation with Tyson Fury, the rematch was already laid out. All of a sudden now, something happened. You know, Vladimir, whatever, the fight was taking long. Fury, got mental health, I got illness. You see him drinking, taking a line of coke. The guy was dodgy from time. You could see he was dodgy. So AJ looked on him as an easy guy to beat. He already beat him up in sparring. He looked over him. But Wilder's there. Wilder's there. Now, how the fight didn't happen, I have no idea in terms of, we can go backwards and forwards. But in my opinion, sometimes when you got fights there, just take them, man. Just take them. There's no guarantee that these fights are going to go through. And all I can say is that I got no sympathy for AJ at this point. I have none. His Fury is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It really is a waste of time. And you've actually got a harder fight now with Usyk in the Manchuri than this one. We don't know you're going to guarantee to get past that. If you get past that, the winner out of Fury and Wilder has to happen. Has to. So if Wilder wins, then take that. No excuses about he doesn't deserve this money. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Just get the fight through. Whatever the guarantees are, it's the good fight for boxing. That's all these fights are about. When it comes down to boxing, and I sit there, because I always watch the fights in the 90s and the early 2000s. I watch them. I can watch them all the time. I never get bored of them because they just happened. It wasn't about the belts and it wasn't about the money when I watched the fight. I just want to see two good athletes go in there at their prime. And Fury, AJ calling a guy who wasn't active at that time. I was like, why would you call him out? He's not even fighting, mate. You know what I mean? Wilder gave him a chance to build the guy up. And look how he done Wilder. So if he done that to Wilder, treating Wilder that way, then why do you think he was going to do that to you? He effed over Wilder something rotten, right? And Wilder got it back. So I have no sympathy for AJ at this minute. I have no sympathy for Dillian, right? And I got no sympathy for Wilder and any of them, right? These guys, they need to get across the line for the fight fans. And if they don't, time don't wait for no one. There's always a next young champion coming through in boxing, and I'll jump on that bandwagon. For now, I have no sympathy for AJ, none whatsoever.
Damn. Harsh words, strong words from the AJbxng. And why not? John Daly, your take on the situation.
I'm not sure AJ is asking for sympathy, to be frank. He's being asked about those fights collapsing. AJ did an interview at Christmas saying that exactly pretty much what AJ's just said there, that Tyson Fury's unreliable, and he thought the next fight would be against Usyk, which is what's happening. So it's frustrating for us that the fights aren't happening, but I'm pretty certain EJ knows that Riddick Bowe never fought Lennox Lewis. So this type of nonsense used to happen in the 90s. Mike Tyson paid about $4 million to not fight Lewis.
Yeah.
When he came out of prison. Bowe put the belt in the bin. Mm-hmm. They were doing this to Lennox.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't anything new, and it definitely happened in the 90s, and I know EJ is old enough to remember all of that. So it's frustrating. And everything you said about Tyson Fury is 100% correct. Not sure that we agree on the situation with Wilder, although you did admit that when Wilder verbally accepted the contract of $12.5 million, he should have signed it instead of AJ fighting Povetkin. You have admitted that to me. But yeah, we won't agree on that. Let's see what happens. Usyk's on. A lot of people were trying to say he wasn't going to fight Usyk. It's happening, so let's see how that goes.
It's happening.
A decent fight.
It's a very decent fight. It's a very decent fight. And I'm not going to go into it tonight because I'm trying to keep things super tight.
I need to get off anyway.
Yeah, 100%. So, what, are you jumping off now?
Well, if it's the end, I'll just...
Well, no. Okay, so I'm going to accept that as John Daly's final words. It's not quite the end, but John Daly, much appreciation.
Thanks, Raph.
Cheers. Thank you. And that was the John Daly. So much appreciation for everybody. The Iron Kong, the Fight Doctor, the John Daly, the AJbxng Live. I think my stance on this is well, yeah, you're dealing with a shyster in the form of Tyson Fury, dishonest character, dishonorable character in so many ways, so many ways. But I think that the good thing out of this is that we have transparency. Of course, the Iron Kong, damn, sent me a Twitter message. Yeah, I'm going to check that out now, Kong. Yeah, so we've had a situation here where you're dealing with a shyster, you're dealing with an untrustworthy character, you're dealing with a man of poor character, and I'm talking about the man who goes by the name of Tyson Fury. But the good thing about this is that we have transparency. For some years, for a matter of years, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury have been trying to paint Anthony Joshua as the bad guy. He don't really want it. But we've seen time and time again him push out those contracts, and the guys have shied away from it, including Tyson Fury. So I'm glad that transparency has come to bear on the situation. And, time's limited over here at Dawkins Towers, Raphie Towers. So AJbxng, I'm trying to keep it live. I'm trying to keep it tight, rather. And one in the evening, one at lunchtime. So look out for the lunchtime efforts. I will post up notifications, but I know people are working. I'm working too, but I get a little slot a couple of times a week in the lunchtime, late lunch. So look out for those. Look out for the evening efforts. Make sure be kind enough to subscribe. AJbxng, sorry. Your final words, my dear fellow.
Yeah. Always good entertaining with the guys talking the boxing. You know what I mean? In certain regards, and we got the pullout of Eddie Hearn. I'm sure you might have covered that. The pullout of not Eddie Hearn, the pullout of Conor Benn. Conor Covert. I questioned it, but at this point, I listened to all corners and stuff like that. Maybe authentically he has it. And maybe I felt Granada's might have won him, but I'm not too sure. But our next fight you got Lethal Woods versus Kanzu, and then you've got Thingy McCulloch versus Ildridge. So it's okay card. It's only 199 in the zone. We've got that to look forward to. And I try to not to be a pessimistic when it comes to boxing and get upset and why boxing's dying and all that stuff. I say boxing's okay. You see things. I see things coming in circles. Right? Joshua is one of the greatest champions ever to mark England boxing. You know what I mean? Fury is always going to be known as one of the lads. Yeah, you know what I mean. He's one of them cheeky guys, gets away with stuff and that, and people admire that. Yeah, at a certain point, you know what I mean. And then you got Wilder, just the loud, brash American guys. All these characters, yeah. End of the day, all they're there serve us to entertainment us, to vicarious get us away from whatever things we're doing for a life. So however you see it from any point of view, even Canelo and the situation with Caleb Plant. This is all entertainment to get you through. But really and truly, when you get involved in the politics of it, it becomes very sticky. My thing is this: as long as if you're a boxing fan, try and watch the fights and not trying to get involved in the politics. But it goes parcel and parcel. When they fight, next the scorecards don't go the way we want. Next a referee interferes or something like that. So we can talk about things. People still talked about Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney about the long count for years. And as it will be with Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder. So my thing is this: enjoy the entertainment, enjoy Raphie Dorco's channel, because he brings the entertainment, brings everyone here to give everyone's views, and we don't always agree, but we have a good time getting it through. So Raphie, I really appreciate you to come on, and we'll talk soon, Raphie. Take care.
Absolutely. That was the AJbxng live. Go check him out. Much appreciation for him jumping on and sharing a little bit of his time with us. So what we had? We had the Iron Kong. We had the Fight Doctor. We had the AJbxng, and we had the John D. Lee. Have I missed anybody? That's 4 people. That's who? That's the Iron Kong 1. The Fight Doctor 2. AJbxng 3. And who's the 4th person? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I named them all. I thought, what's going on? What is going on? Okay, so much appreciation to everybody who took the time out to jump in. And I think we covered it. We covered the Canelo Plant. We covered the Canelo Plant. That's a crazy situation. Lots of different opinions. We covered what was it? Canelo Plant. Who else? We covered Dillian Whyte. Covered the Dillian Whyte suing or legal situation with the WBC. We've covered Anthony Joshua. I don't know if we've covered any more. Great stuff, Raph. Can't catch your lives, will always catch up. Hey, that's all I ask for. That's all I ask for. If you can't catch it live, just it's there. It's there. Don't catch it live, you can catch the playback. Catch it, play it back at a time that is convenient to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I got them all. Iron Kong, John Daly, AJbxng, and the Fight Doctor, all 4 of them. Great stuff, great stuff. Yeah, if you can't catch it live, catch it when you can. Obviously, my time's limited, so I can't always go live when I want to, but when I do go live, I like to jam a lot of stuff in there. So, you get your money's worth. Okay, folks, thanks for everybody for taking time out of your day and coming over here and sharing your time with us as we share our time with you. It's the Raphael Dawkins. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, be sure to tell a friend. to tell a friend, and yeah, hit that like button. It's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comments, it's the shares. And I'm out. Blessed.